Good morning, all. I'm Ellen Giva, and I'll be your MC for this session. I have the pleasant task this morning on behalf of library management and its staff to welcome each of you to this author's celebration. We are delighted that you have accepted our invitation to be here this morning. I will now call upon the acting university librarian and current deputy university librarian, Mrs. Elizabeth Reed-Fong, to address the forum.
Acting VCNP, Dr. Philip Gardner, senior management team, faculty, and colleagues. The inclusion of the library's Celebration of USP Authors in the VC L&T Forum the last 3 years, I think is affirmation of the recognition and importance that the university places on research, publishing, and the collection development of its library network. This is about recognition and acknowledgement. From the library's perspective, the increased availability and access of publications by the USP staff on the Pacific and international issues for use by students and our users deserves recognition. And we acknowledge all 223 publishers' published works. The theme of this year's forum, Nurturing Talent for Today and Tomorrow, Will Take Everyone, is most appropriate. Today, on display are 221 items, and the authors of these published works, together with the library and every one of its 72 staff, support the theme. We appreciate that these publications contribute to the library's capacity for worldwide distinction in the areas of Pacific materials and its collection, PIMRIS, the Marine Information System, and OSIC, the Sports Information Center. It's a partnership also because the celebration of these authors in an event is an event in the library's calendar. It helps our response to the priority areas 1, 2, and 3 of the strategic plan and the library strategic plan, area 2, which talks about information resources and collection development. They too raise the profile of the university and our move from good to excellent. On behalf of all present here today, I wish to congratulate the 233 authors, comprising 150 men and 80 women, whose published works resulted in 294 individual publications in this last year, an increase of 20% over 2014. And barring 1 year, each year has seen an increase in the published areas. The publications by faculty. FSDE, 107 publications, of which 15 were cross-faculty. It reminds me of what Dr. Phillips says about the focus on transdisciplinary activity and research. And that transdisciplinary work comprises 15% of FSDE's publications. FALE with 102, of which 5% are cross-faculty, and FBE with 76, which 10% are cross-faculty. Other areas include PACE with 18 publications, the Research Office 9, College of Foundation Studies 3, DMCA's Office 1, Engineering and Property and Facilities 2, both cross-faculty, ITS 1, which was also cross-faculty, and Finance, all 3 cross-faculty. In recognition of those people, I would like all of us to give them an acknowledgement. Thank you. Having the floor and such a captive audience, I wish to offer a gentle reminder to all that your works need to be deposited with the library, and you also have the Research Office portal, but we ask that we be the first stop. The library has a team of dedicated professional staff, and in their capacity as academic liaison librarians are there for your service. In this role, too, they teach academics, not only students, how to use our valuable resources, and will take time out at your convenience to teach you these. In conclusion, I wish to thank you all for your contributions to the library over the years, and to congratulate in particular the authors whose works are on display. I invite you to continue to publish, and under the Fiji National Library Week theme of 2015, to use the unlimited resources at your library here at USP. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Ladies and gentlemen, our first author and presenter specializes in the assessment of vulnerable communities' food security systems against climate and environmental changes, as well as develop community adaptation plans for many Pacific Island countries. He provides advice and technical training for climate change and climate variability issues. Currently, he's a research fellow in the area of climate change, food security, and disaster risk management, and is pursuing his PhD in developing the sweet potato crop simulation module for Pacific Island countries. He will speak to the paper co-authored with Antoine Nuet, titled Marine Plants as a Sustainable Source of Agri-Fertilizers for Small Island Developing States. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our first presenter, Mr. William Iese of the Pacific Center for Environment and Sustainable Development.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for those very, very sweet words. I think before I start, I just have a very short reflection from our about our excellent speaker, keynote speaker, who spoke about the need for students to interact. But I think we should take the lead and lead by examples and start the interaction between ourselves. Because honestly speaking, the only interaction and the time for interactions I get between so many of us is during cocktails or at the staff club. I'm not saying that's sad, I say that's fantastic. The sad thing is that when we meet again the following week, and I come with so much happiness, I say, hello, nice to meet you, and then step back and say, have I seen you before? So I think we are more robotic during the normal times and becoming more human when we are in cocktails and at the staff club. Right, colleagues, thank you very much. It's an honor to come and speak to you about our publication. And I'm speaking on behalf of the lead author of our paper, Dr. Antoine Nuet, who is in New Zealand at the moment attending a meeting. Well, it's a very interesting sequence of events that led to this publication, but we can talk about that during the cocktail. Firstly, we all know that climate change is one of the major threats right now for small island development states. And we are all knowing that it impacts food security in a very, very large scale, whether it's at the community level, national level, regional level, and also at the global scale. And climate change is also forcing farmers to look for ways in order to increase productivity. And with normal practices, we are aware of applying so much fertilizers to increase production. And we also know that with a lot of poor waste management treatments in the communities, that led to a lot of destruction of coastal biodiversity and coastal ecosystem. And this led to the shift of the ecosystem from very beautiful, healthy coral reefs to much more alcohol-dominant ecosystems. So the solution we proposed is to divert these excess marine plant biomass into a much more sustainable way for people to use them, and especially the invasive species, into form of fertilizers, liquid fertilizers or solid fertilizers. And through this knowledge and through these skills, we'll be managed to empower the farmers and the community to divert or change the invasive species of seaweed into fertilizers in order to increase their productivity. Because what is happening right now, especially at the Atoll Islands, you cannot apply fertilizers there, but there are a lot of people who are suggesting to apply inorganic fertilizers. And because of the situation of the soil, the reality of the soil, it leads to much, much more ecological problems than what you need to address at first. So then we wrote this publication for small island development states, looking at ways to change seaweed into fertilizer and also to develop biogas. And now we are interested to looking at organic pesticides. So the interesting thing, the application of this research, just to cut the story short, is that we have published another paper in the Journal of Applied Phycology based on the work we have done with farmers and the Marine Department and Agriculture of Tuvalu because of the recent spread of seaweed there. And we have a student, MSc student, who is looking now at quantifying the amounts of seaweed and also looking at different applications where the liquid is better than dried or fresh from the sea. And she's got some very good results at the moment. And she's shown that the seaweed fertilizer is producing much more yield in terms, especially in vegetables, compared to the normal NPK and fertilizers you buy from the shop. So with this knowledge, we will pass them on to the farmers in order to improve their sustainable ways to build their resilience for today and for tomorrow. So before I sit down, I would like to say thank you to the Research Office and the Environment, Sustainable Development and Climate Change SRT for supporting our research and supporting this publication. And also like to acknowledge the government of Tuvalu for supporting and being very inspirational in bringing up the research question that led to this publication. And also like to thank the biology department and also the senior technicians and the technicians staff for supporting our students who's working closely with them. And I think the last part before I sit down, I would like to acknowledge our communities, our Pacific communities, small island development communities, because it doesn't matter what stressor that comes to them, whether it's climate change or any other environmental pressure or even the robots, they will always find their ways to become resilient. And I think it is our duty and our responsibility to stand with them